Hey, everybody. This is a great CPaaS Acceleration Alliance update. We have some real thought leaders on the show today. Clark Peterson from the Cloud Communications Alliance and Dave Michaels of Talking Points fame. We're going to dive into a lot of topics, a lot of five-letter acronyms today: CPaaS, UCaaS, CCaaS, so many great acronyms ahead. But before that, let's do some introductions here. First of all, Dave Michaels of Talking Points. I think everyone in the industry knows you. Many love you. Why are you such a divisive figure, though? Some people love you, some people hate you. What's going on, Dave?
Well, it turns out that when you say some things are great, some people get pissed off. But what else could you do? No,
And, and so
I love communications. I love all this stuff, and so yeah, I've managed to piss off a few people every once in a while. Every once in a while.
every once in a while, but you are a true independent voice of the communications industry. And Clark Peterson, sir, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Why is it that everyone from Salt Lake City, Utah is so nice? What is in the water there that makes people so pleasant all the
I'm
time?
still learning. I've only been here 2 years, but I was born and raised in Vegas, which they may not say that everybody there's so nice, but they are nice here. I'm learning that, and Dave hasn't pissed me off yet, but we'll see. The call's still short, so.
Give it time. There's plenty of time. Well, all kidding aside, let's dive in. Oh, and Clark, before that, Cloud Communications Alliance, CCA, an incredible organization. Many people haven't heard about. What's the mission and goal at the CCA?
Yeah, I mean, Cloud Communications Alliance started about 14 years ago when the industry was still really young, and we were looking for a venue to be able to essentially be the voice for the industry and represent the few companies that were in the space early on. And it's evolved with the industry and with cloud in general to where it's now a worldwide alliance, and I believe the largest alliance of cloud communications companies that there is. And we have events all over the world, and we're happy to participate in CASA 23 and be able to kind of add our thoughts on where everything's going to what will be really interesting on the CPaaS side, which it's all starting to come together with UCaaS, CCaaS, CPaaS, and so it'll be kind of fun to talk about.
It is going to be fun to talk about. It's going to be fun to be in person, and you and Dave will be at CASA 23 in Amsterdam in just a few weeks. And this is a great introduction to the agenda at CASA 23. It's covering the current state of the industry with some amazing analysts and industry insiders. Where the industry going? Great networking opportunity, great business opportunity. Really, who's who in telco, UCaaS, AI. The business side as well. And you both are presenting and attending, so it's great to get your impressions a few weeks before the big day. But so let's dive in, Dave.
But I just want to encourage Clark. You should talk. You should mention because you've got two CCA events coming up in the next few weeks as well. So you would I know this is a CPaaS topic, but just you might what CCA events you have coming up.
No, great point, David. So and also in Europe on September 6th, we have the CCA event that's at the Jabra headquarters, and there we're going to focus on AI. And we have actually Microsoft speaking about why they did the deal there with ChatGPT and OpenAI, and we're talking about sustainability. We're talking about some key regulatory issues for the European companies. So we'll be in Copenhagen on September 6th, and then we have our event where we partner with Cavell in New York City. The CCA Financial Summit is on September 26th and 27th, and there we have a lot of the financial experts, and Dave's going to be part of, I think, all of these different events. Dave's been a great partner with Copenhagen, at least, right?
I wish I could, but I'll be in Europe on that one. But I will be at the Copenhagen one.
Yeah, so it'll be Copenhagen. The New York one will have a lot of the financial experts and really just focusing on how a lot of CEOs who recently did deals, and they're talking about how they position the company to either get money, acquire another company, or be acquired. So be of an interesting financial focus.
Exciting times. Great to be back in person again, and everyone's so hungry to network and collaborate in person that it's really exciting to see. We're hangry. We're excited. So let's start off, Dave, with you. Set the scene for us on the industry. Not so much buzzwords, but where are we with unified communications, collaboration, contact center? Is this the best of times? Are we in a challenging time? What say you?
Oh, the party's over, man. It's like everybody's hungover. It's this major pandemic hangover, actually, is what it is, because people don't really realize what happened during the pandemic. But pre-pandemic, there was a product called Microsoft Teams that nobody had heard of. That was kind of this new experiment from Microsoft, and it didn't really make, is it real? Is it not? Is it going to last? And it turned out that the pandemic, while it has made a lot of people ill, it actually was like a super vitamin for teams, and the thing blossomed and took off. And so UCaaS has become actually kind of mature. All of a sudden, it's like everyone's talking about how to make teams better, as opposed to displacing it or being number one. Every vendor's talking about how to make teams better. So the UCaaS conversations kind of turned into a dull roar around making teams better. And one way that people are looking now to innovate in communications is they're turning to CPaaS. And so CPaaS is all of a sudden, I mean, this was such an abstract idea just a few years ago. I remember, because Twilio kind of gets credit for inventing this first. I remember Jeff Lawson, describing what Twilio does, and it's like, I don't really understand. This doesn't make any sense. There's nothing like this. And it took years for me to figure out what Twilio and CPaaS really is. But now it's like, if you're not doing CPaaS, you're out. I mean, it is where it's the cat's pajamas, I guess, is what the term is. I don't know, but yeah, everyone's looking to customize communications, and so CPaaS is encroaching in on CCaaS. It's making UCaaS different. It's everybody wants custom interactions and customized interactions. That includes notifications, and it includes customer journey. It includes pretty much anything that we can dream of. There's no limit in what you can do with CPaaS. And so it's not just Twilio anymore. While Twilio kind of created the category, it seems like every provider is a CPaaS provider today. I met Clark, I guess I met you before that, but I remember when Vonage moved into CPaaS by acquiring Nexmo. It was really confusing. I mean, do you remember, Clark? The stock actually went down when that happened. The Vonage stock actually went down when Vonage acquired. It's like you're a UCaaS company. You can't do CPaaS. That doesn't make any sense. And then a few years later, they got acquired for a ridiculous amount of money because of CPaaS. So everybody is like, wants to be in CPaaS, and so that's where the story is at right now. Which is why this event in Amsterdam is going to be so interesting, because so many different providers are going to be there, more than you would ever know were CPaaS providers, and because so many different users and organizations are going to be there trying to figure out how to use this thing.
Yeah, great point. And Clark, what are your members at the CCA telling you about their current state of play? Are they seeing the value in CPaaS yet? Or their core offering is UCaaS. Are they seeing the CX promises being delivered with their CCaaS solutions? You must hear lots of stories and anecdotes from the hundreds of CCA members that you have.
Yeah, and it's been a natural evolution, right? I mean, when we started the CCA, CPaaS really wasn't a product, right? Like Dave said, it was even new to people, when we were doing the Nexmo deal at Vonage a few years ago. And so there's been this evolution of UCaaS to then CCaaS, and now CPaaS. And I think all the CCA members, like Dave said, they're all looking at, they're all either have it or they're trying to have it, or some people, have APIs and kind of do some things at the API level, but versus a full CPaaS platform of their own sort of view. But I think the thing I'd add is that there's a lot of integration too, right? I mean, CPaaS is very complementary to CCaaS, right? When you think about the messaging and authentication and calling into contact centers and being able to know exactly who's calling in, and it came from a outbound messaging campaign, right? And prompted an inbound call on a contact center agent phone, right? So these things can be very complementary. And CPaaS is intelligent, programmable communications, right? And the Cloud Communications Alliance, we look at all of these are cloud communications elements, right? It's not just UCaaS or CCaaS or even CPaaS, right? I mean, there's cloud security and all these other things too, and they all need to integrate. And as I look at the trends, I mean, I think the biggest trend is that there's no CCaaS, UCaaS, CPaaS. I mean, it's XCaaS almost, right? I mean, you have to have all these collaborative tools, video security. You have to have them all. You have to sell them all. You have to put them all together. You have to create integrated solutions that really mean something more than just maybe a marketing piece that say you do CPaaS or do AI. I mean, create solutions that really change communications for your customers. I think is where the trends are going and where you have to
that's why it's so obvious of the progression, because you can't buy a contact center and just implement it on day one. It inherently has to be customized. And so the old joke is, when you buy a Genesis contact center, a guy with a suitcase shows up and he doesn't leave. And so the thing is with any contact center, whether, not just pick on Genesis, but any contact center has to be heavily customized. And so the question is it better to customize it with the tools of an application provider that are somewhat proprietary? You maybe have to take specialized classes in to learn how to use properly. Or is it better to customize with standard, Java web APIs? And so that answer to that question depends on a lot of different factors. But that's the conversation that's happening. And so one of the terms that we started learning was digital natives. So the digital natives, and Uber's the classic example, is when they built their contact center, they decided to build it into their app. And so when you can contact their drivers and you can interact with the app natively, and you don't go get a separate off-the-shelf contact center. And so that gap between the digital natives and the companies that are buying contact centers is getting smaller and smaller, because everyone's customizing their customer engagement solutions. And so and now with all these new technologies that are on the that are coming at us, particularly the AI from the AI world, CPaaS is having its moment.
It is, and you mentioned AI, so it wouldn't be a tech podcast if we didn't dive into AI. Dave, how is AI implementing CCaaS in particular, and is it a lot of hype? There is a lot of hype at the moment, but when does the rubber hit the road in terms of real value on the business side?
Well, the AI, the challenge, AI has changed so much in this past year with the generative AI. But the thing is it's completely changed the argument, because the whole idea of buying an out-of-the-box solution was it was out of the box and everything you needed was in the box, et cetera. And with AI, you're probably going to be using a major, large language model from one of the major providers. So it's already external. You're already going to be going out to an external service to meet your needs. And so CPaaS is like, hey, well, we make that really easy. We know how to charge for that. We know how to give you the APIs for that. We know how to give you the support for that. So all of a sudden, AI is actually injecting a lot more energy into the CPaaS element.
Yeah, and I see that at the CCA, Clark. You have many members who have built their own platforms, and they're not relying on third parties like Teams, and have very differentiated offerings and a lot of R&D going on in AI. What are you hearing from the CCA community on practical, uses for AI in different applications, both UCaaS and CCaaS and beyond?
Right, and the key word there is practical, right? Because I think these are guys out there trying to drive revenue and find customers, and so they're really looking at creating solutions versus a lot of AI is marketing, and and everybody feels like they have to be at least positioned like they're using AI right now. But there's truly on the solution side, there's low hanging fruit when you look at AI integrated with CCaaS, right? And I mentioned already CPaaS and CCaaS and how closely tied they can be. But on the CCaaS side, AI gives you a chance to provide highly personalized customer experience, right? When you think about sentiment analysis on the CCaaS side, when you think about dashboards on the CCaaS side, when you think about ACDs and IVRs being able to now have personalized data that helps them create a better customer experience. You think about chats, right? And chatbots and how they can be more intelligent now. So see, the AI not only can be used as an element that kind of scrapes the worldwide information there to provide the stuff you see right now on OpenAI and ChatGPT type of stuff. But think about AI from a private AI, almost with your own private data about your own private customers for a company, and creating that intelligence that then allows you to provide a whole other level of CX, whether it be for your CCaaS or your CPaaS or an integrated a solution of both of those. It becomes much more intelligent now.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so, Dave, what happens with the CCaaS, UCaaS landscape over the next couple, 3 years? Are we going to get XCaaS? I think did you trademark that, or did you coin that? I'm not sure.
If anyone trademarked it, it was
I said that
because they relaunched that. But there's the AI opportunity with. Let me rephrase that. The contact center argument or evolution has really changed. For years, the contact center has been marketing ACDs and queues and workflow, et cetera. And all of a sudden, the whole conversation is really around AI, and the whole CX conversation now is around AI, and it's really a very important change that's occurred. And so this is really changing the way we look at contact centers. So Clark just mentioned things like chatbots. Building a chatbot has nothing to do with how good you can build an ACD. And so all of a sudden, when people are trying to build their customer experience solution, they may not necessarily be looking to their contact center provider first. They're looking to figure out how to solve their chatbot problem first. Now, chatbots are not new. We've had chatbots for at least 5 years, and most people hate them. I mean, really hate them. And Evan and I, we've talked about this. Operator, representative, whatever. Just get me out of this hole. And so chatbots are not liked. Everyone's very frustrated by them. But the new generative AI solution, when that came out, when ChatGPT came out, all of a sudden was an eye opener. So wait a minute. Talking to a machine doesn't have to be awful. It doesn't have to be frustrating. This thing actually understands me. And so now we're looking to these chatbots to completely change the CS conversation, because in the past, the chatbots have really always been about cost savings and automation and deflection and things that customers don't like. But now with this new generative AI, there's the possibility of using cost savings and automation to make the enterprise happy, but also using chatbots to make the customers happier and actually addressing their issues and solving their problems very, very easily. And I've had some personal examples already where I've interfaced solely with the chatbot, completely automated interaction. That was like, wow, that was better than a human could have done. And I've written about it and I've talked about it. And people always like, what do you mean better than a human? There's certain types of interactions that we do where it really should be more automated. And I think, again, going back to the pandemic and how that's changed things, I think we're realizing, so many of our digital transformation pre-pandemic was fake. One of my favorite examples is trying to wire money in a bank. That's digital transformation. Instead of using a paper check, I could wire money. Digital transformation. But in order to do that, I had to go to the branch and fill out a form. And nobody realized that was a problem until the branches all closed during the pandemic. So now we're like revisiting this whole digital transformation and doing it properly. And that's where the CPaaS really comes in, because they've got little APIs for every little thing you can think of. And it's really opening up. We're like at a Cambrian explosion of communications ideas.
No, I love that analogy. And Clark, you survey your members at the CCA all the time, and you have a real temperature on the state of the industry. Are we making progress on enhancing customer experience? Both anecdotally, we all have stories, good and bad. But what are your members seeing from their customer feedback? Are their customers getting happier? Are we all getting happier with CX, or is it a tale of the best of times, the worst of times?
And I'll tell you, I want to make a comment on what Dave said that I think is interesting, and then I'll make a comment on CX. But I think there's a generational and a human factor on CPaaS too to think about. When you think about messaging and chat box, a lot of us generationally didn't like that, right? We're used to talking, but if I call my kids on their cell phone, my teenage kids, they text me back and say, what did you need, Dad? Right? I mean, they're just so used to a non-intrusive messaging type of platform that I think that's going to play a lot with CPaaS as more of a messaging and maybe less intrusive by next generations that we should consider. Just following up with Dave. But on the CX side, I think that when I think about UCaaS, CCaaS, CPaaS, and I think of CX, we used to position our UCaaS product. We said, this is how you communicate as your employees of your company communicate with each other with our UCaaS solution. But our CPaaS and our CCaaS solution is how our customers communicate with their customers, right? And it gives them a venue to where they're able to provide that extraordinary, customer experience, to where now you have that intelligent information coming in from a CPaaS outbound messaging or whatever it might be, and your CCaaS now is more intelligent because of that. So we have the opportunity to really take CX to another level, and I think that EX is important to that as well. If you provide great employee experiences, that translates to great customer experiences. So I think the opportunity is there. I think the market is getting more and more competitive, where you have to be competitive on the CX side. And I think that though I see a bifurcation in that there's companies who are focusing on going up market, because to the earlier points, UCaaS and CCaaS, right, they've been around and there's a lot of saturation on the lower end, but there's still 19.5% CAGR projected through 2030, but most of it's going up market, right? And so as you go up market, where Teams is going to play and some of these guys, you have to have collaboration tools. You have to be able to, really understand your customers. And they want a full solution. They want security. They want accountability, right? It's a different animal, right? And so you're selling to somebody that has to have this full collaboration and a good CX experience. And so you have to be prepared to do that. I think the only risk to that, because I think everyone wants to get there, is that there's going to be a lot of consolidation too by big players in the space. And sometimes those bigger players really aren't as focused on CX as maybe some of these other guys trying to, earn the business through great CX. And I think there'll be a mix between the old kind of white glove CX type of take care of your, full, no fingers to point, kind of take care of it. And then there's the other CX of, I'm going to automate things so well, will give you a digital marketplace, give you auto provision, give you, self provisioning everything, that you can do it without me and still feel like you have a good customer experience, right? Like, how many times do I call Amazon or Southwest Airlines? I make a flight while I'm at a stoplight, right? I buy something while I'm at a stoplight off Amazon, right? So there's that mix of making it that automated that it is great CX without even talking to them. And on the other hand,
I think one of the big changes that, along those lines, one of the big changes that's occurring is that most of the contact center industry over the past, 20 years has been built around the assumption that you're calling from a PSTN phone. And even today, like the Magic Quadrant of CCaaS, to be in that report, you have to have 50% of your revenue associated with inbound voice. And so that assumption, though, of most of your interaction and most of your revenue is associated with inbound voice is really fading. And I think we're shifting to an era where the assumption now is that you are looking for customer service from a smartphone, and that's been going on for a little while. And so we've been talking about omnichannel for a while, and maybe I want to use text, maybe I want to use email, etc., or even an app. But now what's really shifting is maybe I want to use all of these things. Maybe I want to start off with a voice call. Maybe I want to turn my camera on and show something. Maybe I want to switch to text, and I want to, I had an interaction where they sent me a text, and I continued my conversation in text, but they didn't hang up, and they stayed on the phone, and they were following me on the form and explaining things on the form on my screen. And so whether you call it omnichannel or concurrent channel or multi-channel or whatever the term is, it's simultaneous channels. It's all these things happening at once, because the assumption is you're coming from a smart device now. And that's really creating a lot of opportunity for customer engagement, personalization, as Clark mentioned, but just completely revamping and changing the whole perspective of how we deliver customer experience.
Yeah, really, really great points. Let's talk about real economics here, the ROI, the business side. We've been talking lots of acronyms in tech, which I love, but the real world, Clark, you're a finance guy. You're seeing lots of mergers, acquisitions. Pricing power is decreasing as the tech giants enter this space. What's the outlook for the industry and some of the members that make up the CCA, which are not the big tier one telcos? They're the alternative, innovative, fast moving, typically smaller providers. Um, what's the outlook like for the industry and many of the players in it?
Yeah, well, the CCA, it started off with the whole industry was nascent, right? So they're smaller, but now, Zoom, Cisco, I mean, all the cloud providers are members of the CCA, and so it's evolved to where it's a worldwide organization with every level and about every player you can think about. There is either a CCA member or ones we're talking to right now, all the big guys. I think the slowest adapters have been the traditional telcos. When you think about Verizon, AT&T, or some of these guys, I mean, they've been slow in general to go to the cloud because they have their whole a ton of revenue coming from an embedded base who's on old class 5 switches and over T1 access, right? And so it's kind of not as motivating to pay new money to put people on cloud solutions when you already have their revenue on old stuff. But they're also now, seeing those customers, if they don't take care of them, move them to newer cloud solutions, then they go to somebody else for it, right? So you're starting to see that migration now, but they have been slower than most to do that. But the industry right now, it's when you just look at the UCaaS side, I mean, it's a 91 billion worldwide space that's projected to go to like I think it's 308 by 2030, right? So 19.5% CAGR. So it's going to be a lot of growth still, even on the UCaaS, CCaaS side. CPaaS is going to be a great addition and kind of an evolution point. But I think the difference is just you have to really be strategic now as far as how you focus your efforts and navigate these waters. You have to look at going up market more where there's a much longer runway. I think you have to look at how do you play with Teams, right? Teams is going to be a dominant force, and there's things Microsoft does great and there's things Microsoft doesn't do great. And so, how do you complement that? A lot of the CCA members, almost all of them, have direct routing with Microsoft. So a lot of times Microsoft does the Office 365 and all the collaboration stuff, and the CCA member may do the voice part to complement that. And a lot of them are selling Office 365 tools and complementing that. So, like it's been forever, right? I'm in this industry 35 years. It's such an incestuous industry, and friends and foes are all the same, right? And so you learn how to partner with your competitors sometimes, and the boats all rise together, right? And I think that's what you'll see happen here. But you have to be strategic now. So.
And I just want to add in there that in the case of CPaaS, it's not a one winner take all for the enterprise. And so an enterprise might pick, Microsoft Teams as their one solution for their enterprise. But when it comes to CPaaS, they might use one provider for WhatsApp. They might use another one for RCS. They might use another one for this particular application, and so there's a lot of opportunities for different CPaaS players to customize and specialize in different channels and different services and different verticals to solve enterprise problems. And the enterprises will select multiple providers.
Yeah. On that point, Dave, I'll tell you one quick story. When I was at Vonage, I went out to a sell. I was president of Vonage Business, but this was a big deal. So I was out there with the sales guys trying to sell us. As one of the largest rental car companies in the world. But we went out there and we knew from the agent who was involved that Verizon, AT&T had already pitched them, and we came in there and we knew they had pitched them on. Look at how big our network is. We have this many POPs all over the country, and our network has this much, whatever. And we went in and knowing they wanted UCaaS, CCaaS, and CPaaS, but we led with CPaaS, and we created on a mobile phone an app to where we show them, here's how you can rent cars in the future. You're going to be able to find the car through the app, through geofencing. You're going to be able to authenticate then, so I know who you are. Then the car is going to unlock. You're going to drive the car, and it's just a car, like a zip car, and it's out there on the street, right? You're going to drive the car to wherever you need. If you need customer care, you hit this button, and through our CPaaS platform, you go to the CCaaS customer care. When you get done, you authenticate again for billing. The car locks, you leave, right? And so we showed them how they actually could change rental cars, and they loved it, right? And so they knew that we were thinking about them as a company and how they can really change their business, not just trying to sell them a communication network, right? And so we ended up, being successful with the, UCaaS, CCaaS, and CPaaS. So these all can be combined in a sell and really complement each other.
That's a great story, and so many stories like that in CPaaS where everything is customizable, and you can even do demos on the fly with customers that really delight them with the opportunity that CPaaS presents. Let's talk about swimming with sharks. I know, Dave, you're a diver. Do you like swimming with sharks?
No.
Okay,
No.
well, the sharks in this case are, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. Name your big tech company. How are we going to see a lot of consolidation here, Dave, in the industry? And how, as an independent or non-big tech player, how do you navigate this new CPaaS, CCaaS, UCaaS landscape with all these big sharks swimming around?
I think that's probably why the Amsterdam event that's coming up is going to be so well attended. I think people are trying to figure that one out. But bottom line is, like I said, it's not a zero-sum game. There's just a lot of opportunity here. There's Microsoft launched Azure Communication Services and became a CPaaS player with that, but they only do certain services. It's a very limited set of the stack. And you've got so many very innovative companies out there, and they're all doing things from a different perspective. You've got bundles that are happening, so let's bundle up with your carrier services. Let's bundle up with, like Clark was saying, with your UCaaS or other services that you may need. You've got angles around certain technologies or certain AI. Bandwidth won best of show at Enterprise Connect because they were bundling a bunch of services that would normally you get from a contact center, but they were doing it in the cloud before you got to the contact center. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for differentiation, and that's what I was saying earlier about the Cambrian explosion that's happening. Everyone's all of a sudden re-examining, what can we really do? How should we do this? And it's creating it's rewarding innovation, and there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity and innovation. And then you look at the opportunity. If we used to say every business has a phone, but every business has multiple business units and use cases and different kinds of customers and different verticals and different specializations, different field staff, frontline employees. Retail is so different than factories. And so all these CPaaS providers are coming up with new kinds of creative approaches for solving these, just like Clark described with the car rental. And so a lot of these industries don't know what they need. What did Henry Ford say? If I asked them what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And so it's up to the CPaaS providers to come up with some really clever ideas and say, have you ever thought of running a car this way? Have you ever thought about doing it this way? And we're seeing just a tremendous amount of innovation. We're going to see innovation everywhere. We've already seen it in, food delivery, or, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a CPaaS specialized in bowling alleys for somehow. But there's just so much opportunity. Medical services, vet services, everything has an opportunity to be customized and made better with communications.
Well, that's quite a mic drop moment, but maybe we'll just wrap it up here, Clark. I mean, you have lots of CCA members who partner with the tech giants. They're, those little sucker fish that are on the side of the sharks. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but they're working with who's who, right? Microsoft, and I think of Google Cloud, and working with others on their APIs. Is this the sort of new model moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are. You partner with them, right? I mean, it's just like, as an example, Microsoft, right? I mean, Microsoft Teams, which is a great collaboration tool. There's a lot of things they don't want to really do, right? I mean, if you want access, go find it. If you want, look at our Azure platform and see who our Azure partners are, and go find your access, right? If you want to be able to do some particular voice things or CCaaS things, there's partners for that. There's a lot of things they really don't have down great yet. I think they're getting there. But and there's a lot of things they really don't want to do, and they'd rather have you find a partner of theirs for that, right? And I think also on the customer experience, there's a lot of things that are difficult on the CX side with Microsoft, that if people are coming to them who've been used to somebody who used to, roll a truck to their office and climb under desks and make sure your CCaaS guys were all happy. I mean, those days aren't, those days have gone away from that kind of level, but days are still there where there's a lot of white glove, great service out there from a lot of cloud providers that are at a different level than I think Microsoft wants to have to do, and is equipped to do. And so I think there's going to be, that's why it's just, you have to navigate this very strategically and figure out how you complement the overall market, look at the spaces that aren't being addressed by some of these big guys, and also how you work with the big guys to, because to Dave said, this is just a huge opportunity. AI is just going to accelerate that. There's going to be a million opportunities out there, but you got to know which ones you really can play well in.
Well said. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour here, top of the hour, depending on where you are. And maybe just recap. What are you excited about? I know, Clark, what you have and the team at CCA have the event in Copenhagen. Maybe a quick overview of that for any last minute attendees. That should be an exciting destination, exciting venue. When are you hitting the road to Copenhagen?
Yeah, I fly out Sunday, so I think the meeting's Wednesday there on September 6th, and so should be great. Focusing on those issues that we really are hearing from the European providers that they're interested in with AI, like we've talked about a lot, and then sustainability, which I think the Europeans do a great job at there. And then there's a lot of really critical regulatory things going on in Europe. So we're hitting the most important things for Europe there on September 6th in Copenhagen, and then. And then September 19th, I'll be speaking at CASA 23, and September 26th, we'll be doing and 27th, we'll be doing the financial summit for the CCA. So I have a full calendar here for the next month. So
you do indeed.
Out the streets. Yeah.
Fantastic. And Dave, what about you? You're attending these and others.
Well, similar. I'll be at the Copenhagen event. I'm excited about the European meeting and interacting with some of these European providers that I don't know as well. And I think that, I had a college year in Copenhagen. Copenhagen is definitely the happiest place on the planet. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to Copenhagen. And then I will not be at the Cloud Communications Alliance in New York because I'll still going to stay in Europe, be in Europe at that time. But I'm going to be at the UC Expo in London I think it's the first week of October. Looking forward to that. That'll be an interesting event. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for the amazing insights and analysis and some great feedback on social. Continue to reach out, like, comment, share, ask questions. We love social media feedback. And thanks for watching, everyone. Much appreciated. Stay safe.